All right, welcome, Dr. Marisol Teijeiro. I hope I said that correct again. You're a naturopathic doctor, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Also known as the Queen of Thrones. And the reason that you coined that is because, and that's trademarked, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Is you're a world leader and renowned for your passion in cleansing and gut health. So you received your degree in naturopathic as a naturopathic doctor, and you completed your international speaker as well, and you have a certification for that. And you were challenged with irritable bowel syndrome, and as 14% of the whole world. Is this the whole world? Is that challenge?
Yeah. It's 14% up to 21% in certain areas. Like I'm South American and half Spanish. And in South America, it's 21%. So we have a higher predisposition for irritable bowel
Oh, wow,
syndrome.
I didn't know that. So is that diet related?
I think it's a combination. I mean, I've really analyzed the cultures and I look back like to what we ate. My mother was born in Uruguay, which is a country well known for their beef products and their dairy products, right? Because they do a lot of cattle herding there. And, the diet, of course, was full of dairy products. More Central America is full of beans and rice. But I really feel that the irritable bowel syndrome started happening when, almost like North American culture and the SAD diet started to infiltrate into Latin American countries, because before then really digestive stuff was unheard of. But now, on the street corner, they have McDonald's with something called chivitos, which is like the national dish of Uruguay. So they're taking Uruguayan food and making it North Americanized. I think that is a big, huge part of the problem.
Yes, I can see
Right?
that. I mean, that's what I see on the rise is because of the food, and the change of the food is causing the gut issues. So, so basically, you're dealing with patients who are dealing with these gut health issues, irritable bowel syndrome. Do you go into other realms of the gut health? Like, what do you deal with?
The funny thing is this is not rarely, I often see patients with IBS, but I more often see patients with more chronic, harder to treat diseases because I
Like
tend to
Crohn's?
be a really good detective. Yes, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, but then also even extending into hormonal problems like Hashimoto's thyroiditis
Yeah.
or cancer. I have a large cancer population in my patient base, multiple sclerosis, all types of autoimmune problems, myasthenia gravis. So I tend to be very good at detecting through a problem or a condition, but I own it because I go into the gut right away and I try to figure out what is happening within the gut. And once I figure out what's happening within the gut, via patients' stools, via their symptoms, their physical exam, then I can improve any condition. So it doesn't really matter what the condition is, because in my opinion, every single condition begins within the gut health.
Now, what tests are you doing for the gut health? Because I know there's a multitude of them. Like, which ones hone in the best?
So I don't do any gut specific testing, ironically. Isn't that funny? Yeah. This is a game changer here. So my philosophy is that the gut is the central hub of your hormonal, your nervous system, and your immune system. So what I do is I do functional testing that tests those things. So I do food sensitivity testing because that tests how your body is reacting to foods, and not necessarily just your gut, but more so how your immune response is reacting to foods, causing inflammation throughout your entire body. Then I love to test the Dutch test. The Dutch test is the full-on panel for hormones, stress response, because I need to see how the body's reacting to stress, because the gut is very sensitive to stressors. And if you are dealing with a lot of hormonal stressors, maybe you have too much elevated estrogen, or in men's case, not enough testosterone, then you would have a problem within your gut, because we have more hormones within our gut than we actually do within our tissues. And then right? Yeah. And then my other really favorite test is the Oats test. So the organic aminos testing. The reason I love them is because they show markers and byproducts of digestion. They show byproducts of yeast overgrowth or bacterial overgrowth, but they also show your neurotransmitter status. So are you more dominant in dopamine? Are you more dominant in serotonin? And all of those, melatonin as an example, melatonin is 10 times higher within the gut than it is within the brain.
Whoa.
And, melatonin is that sleep hormone, right?
Yep.
Sleep hormone / neurotransmitter.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks it's only in the brain working, but no, it actually has a super enormous amount of effect within the gut as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So I don't do stool
that.
testing. Yeah.
Okay. So is that the Oats test? Is that also referred to as the organic acid test?
That one, exactly. Yeah, the organic acid test. And it's ironic that, I rarely do like complete digestive stool analysis, because I find it gives me okay information, but it doesn't give me enough info. I can get that information just from asking a patient about their stools. And by running the other 3 tests, I get more information that I can actually have patients execute on, like the food sensitivity. Right away, I could say, let's remove these foods because they tend to be making too many inflammatory processes in the outside of your body, and then that's going to affect your gut and create more inflammation in your gut, right? Yeah. And then the hormones, same thing. I want to balance out those hormones or work at seeing which ones are dominant. The gut is dependent on having high levels of progesterone in order for it to have good bowel movements. So there's so many things, right? So I go through those avenues first. And then if I needed to, then I would follow up possibly if I didn't get any answers. But typically I get enough answers there to start. And that's where I take patients down the road.
So a lot of times you're not even testing the gut. You'll just do that. And then you'll tweak some things and their gut will automatically start to heal itself.
100%. Yeah. Because the stools I use as a diagnostic tool, right? Because I ask patients what their stools look like. And from that, do they have any mucus in their stool? Are they hyperwiping? Do they have skid marks in their toilet bowl? Those are signs of mucus, inflammatory products coming out in the stools. Yeah. And so right away there, I know there's inflammation in their gut. I know there's likely potentially food sensitivities. I know there's a potential for a dysbiosis already occurring. Yeah. So right away I could treat that, right?
Yeah, and so let's get into the treatment. So one of the things which I wanted to talk to you about, because most people don't know anything about this, and this is something I had delved deep into because I didn't know what I was battling, whether it was Lyme disease or whatever, but was breaking down the biofilm. Mm-hmm. So maybe you could just explain what biofilm is and why it's so important to actually break through it and how we're going to do it.
100%. So it's so interesting to me that, these days out there in the science, what I find whenever I'm going to conferences, the reason I am where I am right now is because I suffered from digestive concerns, right? So I got tired of seeing multiple different practitioners, not getting the responses I wanted. I remember my GI specialist with my IBS said, sorry for your luck. There's no treatment we can do for you. You have to just kind of figure it out. And I was really living horribly, right? Like I was dependent upon where the bathroom was, to this day, wherever I go, I scope out where the bathroom is. It's just like an ingrained
PTSD, right?
It is, because I've had in my lifetime so many accidents that now wherever I go, even though now, I don't have that same urgency, my gut is in such a better shape than it was, take 10 years ago, say 10 years ago, or even 15 years ago. And, it's not that I'm perfect, and it's like with my patients, I don't expect perfection, but what I expect is that we're practicing so we can progress. Like that truly is my saying, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes progress, right? And so as long as we're a little bit better than we were the day before, then that's great. That's our goal, and that's what we want. And that's what I want to always emphasize with people, because people want to be perfect, and it doesn't exist. That's not life, right? I know I have a sensitive gut, and I know that if I get under situations of extreme stress, sure enough, what'll happen will be my gut will start to suffer. But now, the difference between now and 15 years ago is that now I'm prepared with the right tools, and I know how to balance it a lot better and faster, right? So that's the encouragement and the hope that is out there for people, that if you're living with this right now, like I was, you can learn how to navigate and how to manage it really, really well, and get yourself into a place of health, and just understand that, that's your weakness. Like your gut health is your weakness. Another person will have their weakness will be they'll get rashes on their body, as an example, right? Yep. So they go under severe periods of stress, they'll get that rash will come back, right? So we just need to understand our bodies and get to know them. And then from there, we're able to better treat it. And so biofilm, the reason I went into my personal story is because what I've noticed out there in the medical field since I started in medical practice 10 years ago, and I've been in the natural health industry now for about I'm going to date myself, about like close to 20 years. And I started first way back when in my 20s. And, what I realized was back then they didn't speak about the microbiome or biofilm or the bacteria. It really wasn't a conversation. The conversation was always about, the liver cleansing or the kidneys cleansing. Those are the most important things that you had to focus on. But now, with new research and, all the genetic research has been done, what they've realized is that the microbiome or the bacteria that is within our gut, we want to have a good bacteria, like the good probiotics in our gut, but we tend to be, because of our diet and our lifestyle and our stressors, we tend to be overwhelmed by what I've coined conbiotics. And those are, to me, the con artists of the bacterial world that, set up residence in your gut. They compete for space for the probiotics. These are the good guys, and these are the bad guys, the conbiotics. And, the conbiotics take over, right? They multiply and they take over, and there's less space for the good guys.
Yep.
And these conbiotics can be things like yeast, candida, right? Or Clostridium difficile, C. difficile, which is a E. coli. These are all bacteria that people are scared of, that, if they hear it in their food supply, those are the conbiotics, right? They don't do good for us. The probiotics, these guys, they make B vitamins, they make us good nutrients, they make things like butyric acid, these acids that heal our gut. These guys, they don't help us. And the thing is this, both bacterial communities, they create little gates and barriers, right, to the outside world. And so that's what biofilm is. Biofilm is basically like a protective mechanism that these bacteria make in order to protect themselves and so that they can keep residence. Now, the more detrimental the condition is, the more severe the condition is, the more intrusive the bacterial infection is, like say a Lyme's disease, the stronger the biofilm will be, and the harder it will be to break down and to corrupt. Mm-hmm. And biofilm is so unique as well, too, because biofilm isn't something like a bacteria that multiplicates rapidly. Biofilm takes a long time to build, and it's like a glycocalyx of different sugars and protein molecules, like mucus, all combined together. Yeah. So antibiotics, they kill fast multiplying things, so they don't actually work against biofilm very well. Yeah. But what does work against biofilm very well, which is what I use in my practice, is castor oil in the form of a castor oil pack. Yeah. So we do, and the interesting thing was that research was done with castor oil, and this is what blew my mind away, because I didn't realize it, but I was treating biofilm without knowing until I was at a conference one day, and I'm a big researcher, and I was on PubMed, which is like a resource for all the studies. And I was on there, and I was, of course, researching my favorite subject, which is castor oil. And I'm like, and they were talking about biofilm, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna see if castor oil does anything with biofilm. Yeah. Because up until then, I was pretty much already sold on castor oil, because it was like anti-inflammatory, reduces stress, gives you nutrients, just does everything. And then yeah. Yeah, right. Like it's like a non-snake oil. It's like it has all the promises of a snake oil, but it actually delivers them, right? Mm-hmm. Like back in the day. Yeah. And so I Googled I PubMed this search, and then study after study after study in periodontal medicine. And probably the best example of biofilm is plaque in our mouth that causes cavities. Yeah. So now I tell patients, if you want to think about biofilm in your gut, it's the same thing that happens as the plaque on your teeth that causes you cavities. You don't want to have that biofilm, that plaque, because that is dangerous to your body. And the castor oil was not as effective against plaque or biofilm in a test tube, but in the human body, it was more effective than any of the pharmaceutical or chemical biofilm breakdowns. Isn't that neat?
Quick question. That's amazing. Yeah. I just had a light bulb go off. So can you do oil pulling with castor oil?
100%. So the great thing is that I've always been a firm practicer of oil pulling. Yeah. But also I found and I would also promote it to my patients, but my patients wouldn't do it because it'd be 20 minutes with coconut oil and sesame oil. And coconut oil and sesame oil, they taste great. So that's not a barrier.
Yeah.
But the thing with castor oil is castor oil doesn't require as much time as coconut oil and sesame oil does, because castor oil is more viscous. Yeah. So it's thicker. So it's better at grabbing and binding. And that's one of its main jobs anyways. Like castor oil is a carrier oil. So it's very good at grabbing and pulling. Yeah. So instead of you having to do oil pulling with coconut oil and sesame oil for 20 minutes, you only need to use 1 to 2 teaspoons of castor oil for 1 to 2 minutes. That's it.
Oh, yes. Man. I'm going to start doing that right away.
Yeah. So the only barrier is that the taste, the taste is different than anything that you're used to. So if that bothers you, just simply add in essential oil of clove, just a small tiny drop, and a little bit of essential oil of peppermint. And then that gives it not only more benefit for the gums, because clove and peppermint are great for both the teeth and the gums as well too.
And so that actually was a question that I have written down here was, so castor oil can break down this biofilm, and then it can also kill off parasites, but parasites also have a tendency to lay eggs. And so what I had heard is that you want to also kill the eggs through cloves. Like, for example, if you're going to do a castor pack, which I want you to kind of go in a little bit of detail of that. If it does kill off the parasites, they release the eggs, then you take like cloves, and then that helps kill off the eggs. Is that something in your research or that you found to be true and that you use?
So I don't necessarily use that. I do use a mix of different antimicrobial herbs like berberine, right? I'm a big fan of berberine, a couple of other ones as well too, but berberine truly is sometimes my main one. Black walnut, those kind of classics. Right. Clove, I have no problem with people using clove. What I would do though is I would actually just do it topically with the castor oil pack, because you can absorb any of those awesome essential oils and get them deeper into the tissues and actually directly into the gut. So you could probably have a better effect on that. Yeah. There's no, I don't claim that castor oil will break down or kill off parasites, because I actually haven't seen research on that, but there definitely is a history of it being said to do that, because like Indian communities would always do like 1 teaspoon or tablespoon of castor oil weekly to kind of prevent parasites and have everything eliminate out of their system. So, but I'm not clear yet. I haven't been able to really figure out if it truly does kill them, or if it just actually helps to eliminate them out of the system more so, because it happens to get the bowels moving. And that's a big problem. Many people who have parasites are constipated because, and so then it basically allows for the eggs to stay there and multiply and grow, right? So castor oil will help to like get things moving. We'll have an antibacterial, antimicrobial effect. Yeah. Parasites, they might be a different game changer, and sometimes you might also need to use some harder guns. But I feel oftentimes parasites might be over prescribed in the natural health industry, because oftentimes it's more so just a dysbiosis that is mimicking similar symptoms. Yeah. Right? Oftentimes, because the one digestive test that I do often enough, and this will be the general stool parasite and so parasite and egg cytology. That one I will do, and it has come back negative, and we tested the right way, which is like if you actually get a parasite test, you need to actually have it done 3 tests in a row on the same day, so that you can see not only what's coming in the bottom, but what's throughout the entire digestive tract. And I have very rarely seen parasites, and I've seen thousands of patients. So yes. So maybe this is just what's coming to me and in my practice, but this has been my experience, what I have noted. And so I think that just the symptoms really are very, very similar to what a dysbiosis can be. So that patients tend to, or even candida overgrowth can be very similar to what a parasite infection can look like.
Yeah. So in terms of castor pack,
yes,
there's 3 ways that I see that people, now I see 4 ways that people can use it. So there's castor packs, there's castor wraps, there's internal usage, and then I guess now you can do the oil pulling. So a castor pack, just explain like what that is and how people go about doing that.
Castor pack and castor wrap, I'm pretty sure are relatively the same thing. It just comes down to ease of use and how people have been doing them. Okay. The origination of the castor oil pack was actually, people say it was Edgar Casey, or Edgar Casey was claimed he was the bedside sleeper, the ARE Society, and he popularized them in the early 1900s. So that was what he brought. But castor oil packs basically have their roots actually in like traditional Chinese medicine way back when, and Ayurvedic medicine, and even there's a reports in Greek medicine, in Roman medicine, and Egyptian medicine as well too, where the castor oil packs were used for joints. So a pack is basically like a compress. So typically it's like layers of material. You know, you put some kind of cream or ointment on the skin, and then you usually pack it in the area where there's injury or where there's an insult. The castor oil pack on the liver, this was what was popularized by Edgar Casey. And what it is typically it was 4 layers of cotton flannel. Really what it requires is just enough weight to stimulate the nerves on the skin. Castor oil is applied to that pack, and then it's placed on the body. The old way to do it was about a 12-step ordeal and process, and I found that discouraged so many of my patients. I know you have a history of doing castor oil packs, so was that your first experience with the wrapping of the saran wrap and the packing and then the towel, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so it was so many different steps. And what I found when I was trying to prescribe it to my patients, that nobody wanted to do it. And I don't blame them, because I didn't want to do it that way either. You know, when castor oil packs changed my life when I was in third year naturopathic school, I had heard about castor oil packs probably for about 10 to 12 years up until that point, and never jumped into them, just because, you know, I was like, it's too messy, it's too many steps, I'm never going to do it, forget about it, right? But
let me jump in and just say, for the people listening, I did the same thing. So if you're listening to this and you hear what we're saying, just do it now.
Don't wait.
Don't wait.
Right? Yeah, like don't wait, don't make it. And now the thing is, I've created something that makes it easy, because I realized that, okay, I wasn't going to do it until I made my first castor oil pack, where I sewed. Literally, I took a trade show bag, I sewed it in half, I put a tea towel, I cut open the straps and used it as a strap around my body, right? And that's how I ended up doing my first castor oil pack. And then I was like, wow, like I really have something here. And I'm like, I'm going to bring this to market, because I'm like, I'm not the only person out there. You know, there's a big tradition of castor oil packs being used, and just people are just scared to do it or to practice regularly. And castor oil packs actually need to be practiced regularly to get the most benefit from them. And we'll talk more about how long it takes to start breaking down biofilm with the castor oil pack. Because there's actually research. So what's interesting is that the castor oil pack, so what I did is I took that 12-step process, just, you know, I wasn't going to do it. My patients weren't doing it. No one was doing it. And I'm like, this is pointless. We have this great therapy and no one's doing it. So what I ended up creating was my Queen of the Thrones castor oil pack. And sure enough, you know, so it's great, because this pack is basically, it's quite large. It's wrinkled, of course, because it's been in the packaging. So it's the shape of larger than your liver, and it's meant to basically cover underneath your right rib cage. So you would place it like that on your body, underneath your right rib cage, and just tie it up onto your body. And the outside is impermeable to the oil, so it makes it less messy and less sticky. And it has convenient straps, so it'll just attach to your body. And so then that way you can walk around. You don't have to stay immobilized if need be. You can actually get up and move, right? But ideally, with this pack, all you do, as compared to before, 12 steps, this pack is like 3 steps. So it's literally, soft side up, pour oil, place it on your body and attach. So that's it. It's super easy. And ideally you do them overnight. Overnight is always better, because overnight you get more contact on your skin. One of the claims of castor oil packs is that the minute that you put your castor oil pack on your body, it switches your body from the stress state into the relaxed state. And that alone helps you with healing, helps you to optimize your cleansing functions naturally, helps you sleep better. So this is important at nighttime, right?
The first time I did it, I felt the most relaxed I'd ever felt in a while. And I just have to say, like, I didn't even know you had this product. I've been looking for this product. Like, I was like, there has to be something similar. And I've been Googling it and trying to find it. You need to get up there on Google somehow, because I literally been looking for this product, and that makes everything so much easier. My son doesn't want to do it because it's just annoying. It's irritating. But now with that, all we have to do is pour it on, put that on, and good to go. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. And you know, like it's so important. I love that you have your son doing them because I just posted on Instagram at Queen of the Thrones if anyone wants to follow me. And you know, I put like I was doing my family washing of our packs, right? So I put it because we wash our packs in the dishwasher, and then you know we just wash. These are so easy now that you can just put them in your dishwasher, not your laundry, because they'll get oil all over your clothing. But in your dishwasher, it's just perfect. You throw them in there; they wash out really, really nice and clean. And you know, I was making a joke, you know, I have all my kids do Castor Oil Packs because, you know, they're prepared with their health. Like anything happens to them, they're like, where's my Castor Oil Pack? You know, my daughter, first year in university, college, you know, she's drinking, having those drinking times, right? And, you know, she had a hangover one time. She's like, will a Castor Oil Pack work? I'm like, I'm pretty sure it will. Not that I'm advocating, you know, Castor Oil Packs for too much drinking, but I was like, well, at least she knows what to do right now, and this is her phase, and she'll get out of it, right? So it's you know, it's a good practice to get your kids into early because it really I sum up what Castor Oil Packs do in 5 things. So I call it the faith factor, and it's the 5 pillars of feeling great. And they improve your function of your digestive tract, so that's F. So they make you digest better, absorb better, eliminate better. So if you're not pooping properly, you're going to be eliminating a lot better. And that, you know, that's number 1 to health. Yeah. If you can get stuff out, because everything is coming in, you have to be able to make sure everything can come out too, right?
Yeah.
So that's F. A is antioxidant status. It improves your omega-6, omega-9. It's a source of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is uber healing. It improves your circulation all over your body. You know, it's what helps to make you go to the bathroom. Nitric oxide is also an excellent source, excellent tool, neurotransmitter that breaks down biofilm, right? And this is one of the mechanisms of actions of how castor oil breaks down biofilm and resets microbial communities in the gut.
Wow.
Interesting, eh? Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then castor oil is also a source of glutathione. You know, glutathione is our master detoxification agent. So when you have high levels of glutathione, then you're doing better. So it's just amazing. So that's its antioxidants components, you know, vitamin E, like just list goes on and on. I'm sure there's more that are still not even understood in terms of, you know, the structure of castor oil. It looks like a prostaglandin, and it's an anti-inflammatory like that, and that's our eye, right? Inflammation regulator. But this prostaglandin is exactly the end result of what you get when you orally take fish oils. So see, like I rarely prescribe. I prescribe fish oils maybe at the end of a protocol with the patient after they've been with me for years, because with castor oil, they're already getting that same anti-inflammatory effect. So to me, I'm like, why take fish oils? Just eat fish, you know, eat healthy fats in your diet. It's not, you don't need that extra supplementation. Because I really try. My whole prerogative with patients is, you know, we obviously start with a lot of supplements, but I try to get them off of them as fast as I can. But I always tell them, I go, look, when I was sick, I was taking all the right supplements. I was eating all the right foods, and I was doing all the right exercises. But the problem was that I probably wasn't absorbing what I was eating very well. I wasn't absorbing my supplements very well, nor could my body utilize it well because it wasn't very cleansed. And exercise was okay, but it was just adding to the biggest problem, which was, you know, so F, functional digestive tract. A, antioxidant status, I, inflammation regulator, and T is tension, so stress reduction. Because you could be doing all these good things, eating the right foods, taking the right supplements, but if you have elevated levels of stress that are out of the kazoo and your body has no way of practicing the relaxed state, you know, like you just can't heal. And, you know, Ian, my experience was the exact same as yours. You know, the first time I put on a castor oil pack, I was just like, whoa, what is this feeling? And relaxation was so alien to me. I didn't even know what it was at that time.
Oh my God.
Right? Yeah. Like, I was like, oh my, like, I feel, at first I was like, ooh, I'm a little scared. Like if I die, because I'm too relaxed. Something's wrong. Because I was addicted to anxiety and stress, right? It's all that I knew. And so
fight or flight, like constantly, probably.
Right?
Yeah.
And like so many of us are in that stage, and that's how we live our lives. And so with the castor oil packs, what I realized was that I took my life from going on like, you know, overdrive 24/7 to a really nice balance of like, you know, times of boom, 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 but times of relaxation. And so, you know, that's the natural flow that our natural rhythm that our body should have, which is periods of stress and relaxed. You know, I look at our caveman ancestors, you know, they would wake up, they'd be relaxed, they'd be hanging out in the cave, and then they'd go for the hunt, you know, and then it was like, you know, stress, going for the hunt. And then they'd go back, they'd feast, they'd sleep, you know, relax. And then, you know, next morning, predator comes into the cave. Okay, so now it's stressful period, you know. Yep. But it would always be that, you know, that fluctuation between stress state and relaxed state. And, you know, when you put on this castor oil pack, and you actually need a pack in order to achieve this. It's not the castor oil that does it. It's actually the pack that does it. When you put on the pack, you actually stimulate your nervous system to like switch immediately into the relaxed state. And so I call it like the escape button on my computer. You know, you can go from frazzled to like relaxed in no time at all. And so the cool thing too is that wearing the pack stimulates dopamine, which is like your motivation hormone, also reward hormone. So you feel better right away just from that. But it also stimulates the love and connection hormone, oxytocin.
I did not know that. That's
it's super.
It's important, I think, to mention if someone's been sick, they've been in inflammation. And in inflammation, the dopamine levels go down, right? And their motivation goes down. So when they take this, all of a sudden, they start to feel better.
100%. And then, you know, so, and it's like a balancing act, like it starts to reduce the inflammation because Castor Oil Packs also will help to reduce the inflammation. And then your dopamine starts to increase, and your oxytocin is so cool. Like oxytocin, the love and connection molecule, like it's even being shown right now to help with reduction of appetite, help with weight loss, right? Because you feel fulfilled when you're loved.
Yeah.
You know, you're not looking for love in food. You're not looking for love in all the wrong places, right? You've got your love, your self-love, your self-care for you, right? Yeah. So just having that natural burst of oxytocin coming from you doing an awesome at-home, you know, therapeutic tool that, you know, gives you not only, you know, improvement of how you're digesting and absorbing and eliminating your food, it gives you antioxidants. So, you know, it's a source of supplementation that you don't have to take more pills orally, you know, and that's, you know, it's also important for people who can't digest fats very well. You know, like females in their 40s all have problems with digestion of fats, and they get bloated from them. So castor oil packs are a way to digest them and get the benefits of them without having to go through the digestive tract.
Wow.
Then inflammation regulation, you know, tension reduction. And then the final step, H, is host. So we host these trillions of bacteria like we spoke about earlier, right? Yeah. And just that castor oil packs, you know, work at resetting your microbiome, your balance between the probiotics and the conbiotics, right? Which are the bacteria that aren't the good guys.
Yeah.
So it's really like, and ultimately, I'm so happy that the word ended up being faith, because I think the biggest take home from me when I started doing castor oil packs is that, you know, I think I was at a point where I'd actually lost a lot of faith in everything, even natural medicine, you know, because I was in naturopathic school and I still couldn't get better. In fact, I got sicker, you know, and then I realized the castor oil pack gave me back my faith that I could heal. Yeah. And there's no better feeling or sensation in knowing that, you know, that there is something that you can do and something that can help you to get better. And not that the castor oil packs, you know, are the cure of all disease, but what they do is that they set up the foundation. You still need to be eating a healthy diet. You need to be exercising, people. You need to be, you know, taking your proper supplementation, you know, because our food doesn't have all the nutrients like it used to, right? You still need to be working on your, you know, body dynamics. You know, I get adjusted. I do yoga. I do Pilates. Like I do all these things regularly to make sure that my form and my physical body stays young and limber and flexible. Like you can't
flowing through the body.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Right. So you can't say that I don't claim castor, but castor oil packs is going to set that foundation for all those things to work better. Yeah. And, you know, improve things in your body on other aspects that need to get moving and in balance as well too. So it's such a win-win-win. And I always tell patients, the first thing I prescribe castor oil packs to every single one of my patients, first thing they get on their first visit. And it just starts them off right, because then they don't have to take as many supplements. Their supplements are all working better. And, you know, that is probably like the biggest complaint I get from patients is that, oh God, or they'll come in first visit, they'll be like, I'm taking like 20 supplements and I'm not getting any benefit from it. And I go, well, you know what, we need to work first and foremost, we have to set your foundation right. There's no point building a $500,000 home or $1 million home on a foundation that is, you know, jagged and, you know, this part's not working and that part's not working, the furnace isn't working and the wall's not straight. Like, what kind of $1 million home are you going to have? You know, like we have $1 million temples you know, actually no, priceless temples. These are priceless. You know, there's not a price tag on the temple. And you know, like we need to set the foundation right so that our temple, that is honestly magical. Like the things that I've seen the human body be able to heal from, like it's just a miracle of God. Like it is just truly like a miracle. And you know, so it's on us to create that foundation for our health and our healing. And you know, ultimately what I love too about castor oil is that, you know, it's known as the palm of Christ oil as well too, you know. And historically it was used to anoint kings and queens as they elevated into their thrones. The clergy, as they became popes and ministers, they would, you know, so as they got closer to God, so to say, because that's how it was back in the day, you know, castor oil was what took them there. And so I really feel, you know, that castor oil is something that connects us universally to ourselves, to our souls, to our purpose. You know, the more I started using castor oil packs and castor oil, the more I realized where my true mission was. There was a period in time when I, you know, stopped working with castor oil as much, just because I had a business fallout. But I was so dry. I still had to practice it in clinic because I couldn't get away from that, because I just love it and it's what I believe in. And it just drew me back in because it's my purpose. It's my purpose to be here teaching people about what this wonderful oil does and how Castor Oil Packs really is a foundational tool that really, to get our guts in a healthy place, to get our bodies in good balance, like we need to start here with this. And it's inexpensive, which is even better for people out there. So this is reachable for everybody. This is something for everybody. So cool.
So how long should somebody be doing? Like you mentioned how long it takes to break through, because I was doing it for months.
Yes.
And you know, there was points where I felt like breakthroughs happening or something was happening. So what does the study show?
So this is the thing. We are always going to be working on setting and recreating our microbiome, our bacterial balance, and our biofilm, because it's constantly evolving depending on what's happening around us. So it's a lifetime thing. It's what I want to tell people, right? Is that it's not that we're going to fix it once and it's done. No, this is going to be, you're going to be constantly working on it. But what the studies show is that nitric oxide, so low doses of nitric oxide, like what you would get when you're doing a castor oil pack, it takes up to 7 days to see the proper response. So you need to be doing the castor oil pack at least for a minimum of 7 days. Ideally, you know, I try to have people do a castor oil pack daily. If that is too much for them, then I have them do the 7-day technique, which is 7 days on a castor oil pack and 7 days off a castor oil pack. And that seems to be a little bit more approachable for most people. So they'll end up doing like 3 days 1 week, 3 days next week, 4 days next week, right? So they'll just at least try to do it like 3 to 4 days. So that's kind of where I have patients go. I aim always to try to see if you can do it nightly. If you can't do that, then do the 7-day technique, 7 days on, 7 days off. You'll get the best benefit in that manner. If you want to take days, you just like that 7 day is like the magic number in order to be able to like get the biofilm breaking down and the back microbiome really starting to break through.
Okay. Now I have a question for you, because we did that with my son, and so about 7 days in, like he had this cough that wouldn't go away. And so we started doing the castor packs, and all of a sudden he started getting this stuff coming out, like stuff coming out of his skin. Like,
wow.
So is that like mucus pushing out through the body?
Yes. Yeah. So in a case like that, when you start seeing a reaction like that, well, he obviously was unloading a lot of stuff with the castor oil pack, and his body probably wasn't able to eliminate it out completely throughout the gut. So an ideal thing to do there is to start adding in, like, I love clay with kids. Clay is great. Clay is a great little binder. So I would add in like a teeny tiny bit of like bentonite clay into their water, just to start to kind of bind a bit better and make sure that they're going to the bathroom regularly. And that usually helps to work that through, because he was basically just really like breaking through and eliminating everything. Like it was just coming out so good. It's so good.
Gotcha. Wow.
It's
out, and other people couldn't really explain what was going on. Really, I mean, they just said we kind of figured that it was the detox process, but we didn't know like how that was happening. So
Yeah, it's amazing, and it usually comes down to he's eliminating. Kids are notorious. You think that they're eliminating enough, but they're not eliminating enough. Like kids really need to be having these enormous stools. Like really, that's what their little bodies are made for. Like kids. The problem with kids is that they'll eliminate one portion of their intestine, and they're more meant to at that age to be able to eliminate out at like not only the descending, but more so like the transverse and the descending. And so sometimes with your son too, what you could have also done is give him a little bit of oral castor oil with the clay to get him to really like start to pull it out through the intestines. And that's but small amounts. You'd be like orally castor oil. I don't use it very much.
yeah.
Only in like cases like this where it would be like, oh, the bowels just aren't moving. I need to get something to really get those bowel movements. Let's try this, and then that seems to get them moving a lot better.
Okay, interesting. So I did give him some bentonite clay and some zeolite. I don't know if that's helpful.
Excellent.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what would you recommend that somebody watching this obviously is figuring out how to heal themselves? And
yes,
bar none, I've tried so many things. I can't even tell like what I've experimented. I wrote a book on it. Literally. Castor Packs.
That's awesome.
Castor oil is literally the foundational aspect of it. And so it took me a while to get there. So that's why I'm just telling people, like, if you're looking to heal, but do this, but how should they go about doing it? Is there a way that you're recommending, and like how long? So 7 days on, 7 days off for people that have a hard time.
Yeah. So if you're doing a cleanse, like a therapeutic cleanse with a practitioner, make sure you do it every single day. Like you absolutely then want to be doing a castor oil pack every day. I'd even recommend that for the first few months, just because you're trying to train your body into the relaxed state, right? So if you're trying to train, it's like an Olympian athlete. An Olympian athlete doesn't only train, 3 times a week. They train daily, right? Because they need to really create that muscle memory and get the body working in a certain way. So your first part with the castor oil, I really highly recommend to try to do it as many days as possible in a row. Mm-hmm. And then like worst case scenario, at least 7, and then take 7 off. Okay. You ideally want to wear it overnight because you get the best responses that way, the fastest responses that way. Mm-hmm. But the other option is the way that I started, which is I started doing it only 1 hour a day. And that's okay too. It just depends where you're at. And, like I wasn't sold on it, ironically. And now it's all I do. But I wasn't sold on it. And I thought, how can this flinky little pack really do something to my body, right? That's what I thought. And that's, I'm sure, what so many people are thinking out there, right? They're like, what? This piece of cotton flannel, you pour this organic castor oil in a glass bottle, and that's suddenly gonna change things. But that's the reality for many people, right? As they start to do this, and again, it sets their foundation. So all the other things that they're doing and investing in just work that much better. So ideally they would do it like that and try to just make it like, I want people to make castor oil packs a health practice. That is something that they repeat regularly. So it's just part of their lives. It's now with the Queen of the Thrones castor oil packs, which, we can give you a link, and then they can go to that link directly, and they can get themselves a little bundle, which includes the castor oil, which mine is cold pressed, hexane free, extra virgin. So it has higher nutrient value than most other castor oils. And the most important thing is that it's in a glass bottle, because castor oil is a carrier oil, and you don't want it, even if it's BPA free. Plastic is still plastic. There's other components other than BPA. There's things like slide agents that are used in the bottling of plastics. There's UV light filters in plastics that contain oils. All of those things leach into things like castor oil. Yeah. And so we don't want them. It always has to be in a glass bottle. And these packs are super convenient. They're reusable. We say they have a lifespan of about 3 months of regular usage, and then you're going to want to get yourself a new one. But even still, it's super affordable in that way. And if you take better care of it, it can last longer. All you do is, it's a 2-minute routine. Take your compress, put two tablespoons on your compress, and put it on your body. Throw on an old t-shirt and go to bed. And that's it, right? Simple. And keeping it simple makes it happen for people.
Yes, simple is when it comes to healing. The body will heal itself mostly, but if you give it what it needs. But simple is huge. And I just have to say, I've been doing castor packs, and I can't tell you how hard, listen to what is being said here, because we've ordered wool castor packs, flannel castor packs. We don't know how big we should make them, how much we should put on. How much oil would you say to put on?
2 tablespoons. The old recommendations use so much. It was like a whole bottle, like saturated.
Ounces.
Yeah, it's a waste, and you don't need that. With the pack, what happens is that every time you do it, you reapply the oil. So you always reapply 2 tablespoons, and so over time your pack gets heavier, and that's okay. That's what we want. We actually want that to occur. With our pack, you try to avoid the seams, because once you get the oil onto the seams, then the oil can leak out. But if you keep your oil in the center, only using the 2 tablespoons, I mean, you can go for a long time just with that pack without having to wash it or anything. So super
How
simple.
often do you wash it, would you say?
I only wash it, and this is what I recommend, is only when when the oil gets close to the seams. Once it gets close to the seams, that's when you want to wash it. Yeah, because then it's more of like the traditional recommendation of castor oil is that you never need to wash it. You just keep on applying oil.
Yeah.
The reasons I don't do that is because, I mean, I still want to wash it. I think it's important to just remove what you can of the oil. There is a possibility too of some transfer, like how your son, in certain patient cases, how your son started eliminating things out of his skin doing the castor oil pack. Sometimes that can happen. So stuff is going into your pack too. So that's why, and that's also the reason why you always want to apply fresh oil.
That makes sense. Totally.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
cool.
We are about the end of the hour. And so I just wanted to share that they can see you at facebook.com, Queen of Thrones, instagram.com/Queen of Thrones, and youtube.com/user/MarisolND. And is there any last...
Or it should be Queen of Thrones, Dr. Marisol, Queen of Thrones. They can find me there on YouTube. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if they search for that, they'll find
Yes. Yeah.
I'm really easy to find. You're all over the place.
Yeah, I am. I'm on a mission, I tell you. And it's so great. Like I feel like I'm starting a movement out there, and this is why I really want everyone to join, because I really feel that this movement, aka also a bowel movement, is important for all of us, right? Happy guts, happy lives, happy health. Like your greatest wealth is your gut health. It truly is.
Yeah.
When your gut is healthy, you feel great. You're healthy. And a portion of our profits, I think this is important for people to know, is that I do this. Number one, because it's my soul's mission is to make sure that Castor Oil Packs get the recognition that they deserve, and their place in medicine, and that castor oil stays elevated as a medicine, but also is to research about stools and what the stools say about you. So a portion of these profits go back into research that I do at my clinic, at my naturopathic clinic in Canada, so that we can start to get new standards and stool scales, so that all this information can go out to all the people, so that everyone can benefit, and there doesn't have to be a price tag on everything.
Yeah.
So when you're investing in Queen of the Thrones products, you're investing in a greater world, and you're really truly part of a movement. So I thank everyone who goes out and gets their castor oil pack from Queen of the Thrones.
If someone wanted to, say someone's watching in this, they're like, hey man, I'm going to do castor packs, but I want to go a little bit deeper. How would they find you to work with you? Do they go online and book a session, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So I see patients physically, so I can see patients at my clinic in Kitchener-Waterloo. It's www.sanas.ca, or you can just go onto my drmarisol.com, drmarisol.com. There's a great place to start. We have so many blogs, so many podcasts. There's so much information there that can get you really started. And, I would be a very happy doctor if my patients came to me already doing a castor oil pack, because I know that they would already be setting up that foundation. And and that alone would save people money, because they wouldn't have to get that thing in the first visit. We could move on to next thing. So, in a way, I'm trying to train people out there before they have to come see me as a patient, that they know to do castor oil packs, because that'll save them money before they go see any alternative health care practitioner.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're about the end here, and unless you got anything else to say, this has been super valuable. I think people will get a lot out of this, and the value that you're adding to the market just by creating that pack is pretty awesome.
Thank you, Ian. Yeah.
Because I'm gonna be the first one purchasing that. Now, for my clients, I'm like, well, I might as well have them here for them.
Yeah. And we have that too. Like we provide for wholesale account, affiliate programs, whatever people are looking for. I know the practitioners out there need help. Like everyone needs help, right? So we can definitely get like this information out there. And my hope is just for everyone to have faith in their healing, I think is the way that I wanted to end this, is that you can truly heal, and you can be better tomorrow than what you are today. But you just have to work on that foundation.
Yes.
That's it.
So true.
Yeah. Awesome, Ian. Thank you so much for having me.
Marisol. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome.
All right. Have a great day.